path for spiritual living that recognizes the beauty of every spiritual philosophy. It aims at supporting people in their quest for a healthy and prosperous life, a life of significance. Revana Quintana and Osvaldo Mora, leaders of the bilingual ministry Unity Community of Light, are here every Sunday morning to bless you with either an inspiring dialogue and or meditation based on the powerful Unity teachings that we are certain will lead you to a space of deep personal transformation. Please be welcome to Encuentro Espiritual English. We are a gentle voice that expresses itself powerfully through hearts consecrated to God and truth, and that by its commitment to educate spiritually, pray with devotion, and gather in family groups, amplify the powerful light of the Christ presence to the collective, all leading to true abundance. We are Unity Community of Light, a bilingual Unity ministry that offers an online programming in addition to workshops, retreats, and services in person internationally. Our commitment to the transformation of the collective consciousness is our priority. We are here by divine appointment to fulfill this sacred mission, one that we know can only be accomplished through our own transformation. Revana Quintana and Osvaldo Mora and other leaders are fully present to offer you the powerful Unity teachings that will change your life forever. We welcome you from the bottom of our hearts.
Good morning, and welcome to Unity Community of Light, Encuentro Espiritual English, our spiritual dialogue. I'm Tami Johns, and I'm humbled and again delighted to be here with you this week so we can begin to talk about oneness. Well, before we jump into that, I'd like to introduce the person sitting next to me. I have Mariela Ortiz-Siwarqinti, and she's going to tell us a little bit about herself. I know her from Unity of the Triangle, the metaphysical work that she does, and she's also a minister with Unity Community of Light. Mariela, can you tell us about yourself, please?
Sure. Thank you. Thank you, Reverend Tami. I'm delighted to be here. And I have been doing work with Unity and Reverend Anna for some time. I'm an ordained minister. And for me, is in the holistic healing side. So I do energy healing. My clients are the kind of clients that come because they have had issues in their childhood. So they come to me to heal from core wounds, everything that has to do with abandonment, rejection, humiliation. So these are very subjects that are deep in my heart. So as an energy healer, my job is to look at things from that higher perspective and help them come to a place to acceptance so that they can start moving up in their healing process so that they can accept their evolution and their life purpose in this world. So that's in my heart.
Great. Can you tell us a little bit about your name? Siwarqinti?
I know we talked about this. Yes, Siwarqinti. So the name Siwarqinti, it's Quechua. I'm from Ecuador, and that's the language of the indigenous people in Ecuador. Siwarqinti comes from two words, Siwar, which means royal, and Kinti, which means hummingbird. And in the shamanic southern tradition in South America, we think of the hummingbird as the one who takes the quest, to takes the journey, because hummingbirds are very resilient. And I don't know if you know this, but there's actually a hummingbird in Ecuador called hill star. And they call it hill star because he's the star of the mountains, of the hills. It's such a small, tiny bird, right? It's a hummingbird, but it lives in the high altitudes of the Andes mountains. And the thing that it does is, in order to survive the cold of the night, it slows down its heart so much that, according to scientists, it's almost like it goes in hibernation. So every night it slows down its heart in hibernation mode, and it doesn't restart its heart until the light of the sun hits them. So to me, it's so powerful of the capacity of every human being, every sentient being that we have to live in this world. We can be in a place that is completely, not a great environment to live, but somehow we have that inside of us that helps us thrive. So what is that helps you thrive? So that's why I took that name of Siwarqinti, because to me, it reflects the resilience that you have not discovered yet, that you do have inside of you.
That's very powerful. Both the work that you do with healing and people who have gone through difficult circumstances or even trauma and everything working in their lives so they can get that upward spiral. I think that's really important work. And I definitely wanted you to share about your name because we are on a quest as we continue to go on this journey. So that's all really interesting. So it's really perfect that you're here talking to us today. Thank you. Okay, let's jump into this week. Yes. Last week we talked about the Bible. We talked in great depth about the Old Testament, how it can provide guidance for us in our behaviors. We talked about the New Testament, where Jesus provides an example of how we can live more Christ-like. Today, we're going to be talking about oneness. And I want to start off by talking about the ocean, the waves in the ocean. When you think about the waves, they can be frothy, they can be active, people can surf on them. And then they can also be calm and serene. I happen to like to sit by the ocean when that happens. While they are very unique in how they show up, they are still part of the same ocean. And that's like us as human beings. We have different philosophies, different politics, ethnicities, orientations, races. We all show up as unique individuals, but we are all still part of the same cosmic universe. And while we express ourselves differently, like I said, we show up as that same uniqueness. And I want to get into some of the ways that we can show up that way, because despite our individuality, we are all the same human experience. We have common emotions, we have common needs and desires, and we depend on each other for collaboration, for support. So we all feed off of each other. While we show up as unique, we all feed off of one another because we're in this larger consciousness. Now, in essence, like I said, we are distinct individuals. And it's important for us to recognize that. But when we turn into spiritual practices like mindfulness and awareness, then we can understand that we are connected and we have a deeper understanding and awakening to how the universe works together for our own. And the other important point that I want to make is that the universe cannot be what it is without each and every one of us showing up in our uniqueness. What do you think about that, Mariela?
Feel that it's the example of the ocean. It's a really good example. It reminds me of this song, a very famous song, Unchained Melody. Do you know that song?
I do.
Yes. And it seems like it's a romantic song, but it's more profound. And there's a part where it says, lonely rivers go to the sea, to the open arms of the sea. And then after that, it says, I'll be coming home, wait for me.
Oh,
And I know
yes.
people think it's a romantic song, but it goes deeper than that when you hear that part, because it helps you understand that, we are all in the same flow. You can call the water of river a river, but it goes into the ocean and the ocean receives it with openness. There's no stopping or rejecting because you are a different water. There's no judgment. It mixes,
Mm,
and they're part of that oneness, but individual, they serve different purposes as well. So to me, it's so important to find out who you truly are and what's your power in this world, and it's not the power to control, but your spark within, what you came to do in this world. The best way that I could explain to me that has served me is explain it as organs, the organs inside of you. Like, let's say, your digestive system, it's composed of different organs, but they're all part of the same system working for the same organism. So you
yeah.
can't fight against someone because they don't think like you or work like you. They have their specialty. They're special in their own way. Artists have a place in this world. Scientists have a place in this world. Activists have a place in this world. We all have a place in this world, and we're all part of the same organism. So learning to accept and respect and focus on what's important, what the importance of what we provide in this world, I believe is more important. Because let's say, what if the heart says to the stomach, you're not doing what I'm doing, so you're not as important as me. Then the whole system falls apart. So I think it's so important to realize that we are connected as
Mhm.
part of that oneness. And it's important to know, as individuals, how do we make a mark? How do we make the difference?
First of all, I'll never listen to that song the same now, Unchained
Yes.
Melody. It's great because it has a powerful message in it. And you're right. I love the body as an analogy, because if one system or one organ is out of whack, it impacts our entire body. So we really have to understand and work on, when we're conflicted with someone else, we have to try to get back into that harmony, into that flow that you mentioned. That's really, really important.
Yeah. And one thing that we have time to mention, to me,
Sure.
is the oneness is such a um, general and also mystic word, maybe, for some people. But I
Mm.
feel that if we make it a little more a practical, we can talk about inclusiveness.
Ah,
Oneness and inclusiveness. If I want to make it practical, because oneness, people think that you have to be spiritual to find out what it is, but in the real world, you can just say, okay, I can be inclusive. That's a practice. I can work in being inclusive, and that makes you a really good person, not to reject just because, or not to exclude someone because they're not like you or they don't do what you do. There's a place for everyone in this world, and that's inclusiveness. So you don't have to go into a mountain and meditate for years to find out what oneness is. You can still
exactly.
practice and make it practical.
It is very practical. Thanks for bringing that down, because some people can think, oh, this is really woo woo and oneness and spirituality. And you can just practice it every day. And when you think about when we come here, well, first of all, universe means to unite and make whole.
Mhm.
And we bring our all individual aspects in to make us whole. And we come here doing that, wanting to express our own voice. First of all, when we are in the womb, we think of a baby that is, breathing, and their heartbeat is going. They're beating to their own heartbeat, but once they're and when they're in that womb, they begin to attune to the mother's heartbeat. But then when we come here as toddlers, as we begin to grow up, we want to express our own uniqueness and our oneness. And people have, they label it the terrible twos, where
Yes.
little children are there. Okay, I want to tell you, I want to ask lots of questions. I want to express my voice. And then as you
Mhm.
continue to grow even more and age and mature, when you get into your teenage years, I don't know anyone who can remember what it was like by being a teenager, or if you are experiencing a teenager, they are definitely in that uniqueness phase where they want to say, I want to do this, and they can rebel against things, how they
Mhm.
talk about people. And then as we continue to mature even more, we begin to ask questions as adults. What am I here for? What's my purpose? What should I be doing with this life? And those are all ways that we can express our uniqueness, but also recognize that we are part of this greater. I love the word inclusiveness, bringing that into the conversation, because we're all interconnected. We all have we all have common needs and desires. And that's how we can focus on being one. What do you think about that?
It's very important, and it is a good thing that you mentioned kids, because many times you don't even know how much you influence the children around you, the children that live with you. You don't know how maybe your fears may be limiting them, or maybe your bad experiences in the past make you stop them from pursuing something that for them may be achieved with more ease because they have the capacity inside to do it. And I have a 5-year-old, and it was very clear to me from the beginning that he was an individual. He was
Ah,
not my
right.
son. He's
Okay.
very different from me. He's very different from his father, but it's to be able to be flexible, to let him push things to the limit, and me just being the guide and keep him safe, but let him express himself in a way that I know that I was not allowed. And in the same manner, I remember my father saying that he wasn't allowed in his family to express himself fully. So it makes me think a lot, that we have to have that inclusiveness for people to discover who they are, and then that discover their oneness with everything. Something
Right.
that happened to me when I started studying Buddhism. So Buddhism is my foundation, my spiritual foundation.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Um, and I went in it wanting to know myself.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to know who I was, and all that meditation practice and all the Dharma talks, but more importantly, the meditation, the experiencing being in meditation. I had all these mystical, if you can want to say mystical experiences. And
Okay.
in my path of getting to know myself, I did get to know what God was, the experience of what God is. So it wasn't intentional, but I did find out oneness. And I did realize, God and you are the same thing. And isn't that what Jesus said? Me and the Father are one. So
Or one.
getting to that place may not be available for everyone, but inclusiveness can be.
Right. And I want to hit on a couple of points that you said. And that is, first of all, it is so important for us to not instill our fears and our doubts and all of those on children as they are wanting to express their uniqueness. And we have a tendency to do that. Parents and people and adults around children, they want to form you and mold you into what they want you to be, or little mini me's you want to make. And that's not what we come here for. We come here for our unique expressions. And again, that word inclusiveness, you're bringing that up because we can express ourselves differently, and also allow others to express themselves differently, knowing
Mm-hmm.
that we are all still connected.
Yes.
And then for me, when I think about being connected, no, expressing my uniqueness as well as being connected, I think about my morning practice that I do. When I do in the morning, I get up and I go and I sit out in nature, and I just, I be, I know that's not grammatically correct, but I'm just sitting and I'm staying, because I can watch everything from squirrels playing to ants crawling around and doing their little work they have to do. And um, there was a hawk one time that was sitting on my fence. And at first it was scary, but then I realized when I looked it up, a hawk has to do with purpose. And that's what I was dealing with at the time in my life. And it was giving this affirmation that I was still on track. And I think when we are mindful, we can pick up those kinds of messages and be in dialogue with other people about all those kinds of things, because again, we are all connected as we embrace our uniqueness.
Mm-hmm. Mindfulness is definitely very important because, I mentioned inclusiveness and you can be very inclusive, but if you don't come to that place of doing it mindfully or realizing what you're doing, that you're interconnecting with another human being, you're giving them the space, then, when you do that, then your spirituality also becomes more enhancing you as well. You are, I'm in a holistic business, so
Okay,
it's
right.
so it's so important to keep everything in mind, including how important evolving your spirituality is. So you have your practice of sitting and connecting, and I feel that that is very, very important, and for everyone to realize that we're not just people. We can come and live together, and it's fine. But there's another part in us that one that it's reaching is
Mm.
reaching to connect with that bigger oneness. And wouldn't it be beautiful if everybody can attain that sense of, oh, okay, I get it now. I get it.
Exactly. Where we could all get to that level and not look at the differences so much, but the things that we have in common. You
Mm-hmm.
also, the other point I actually wanted to bring up too is your Buddhist practices and your Buddhism. I have studied Buddhism as well, and what I find is that whether it's the meditation, whether it's following the Eightfold Path and doing the right thing at the right time for the right reason,
Mm-hmm.
all of those kinds of things, that keeps us connected as well. I know some of you out there know that I'm studying to be an ordained interfaith and interspiritual minister. And so I learn about all these other religions, and other religions like Hinduism and Buddhism, like we mentioned, they look at this connectedness in such a larger way that we are
Yes.
all part of the same cosmos. What are your
Mm-hmm.
thoughts on that?
I really love it. I mean, there's people there are not happy with religions.
Right.
They're a little bit hesitant with religion. But it's all a practice, and to me it's like you have to have your practice. The way that I say is like, what nurtures you, what feeds your soul, what do you feel
Mm,
feeds your soul. So
right.
finding a practice to connect with the bigger, to me, is very important. And you have found yours, I have found mine, and
Mhm.
it may not be the same, but the way that it has connected us helps us be in the same place and have a beautiful conversation, a profound conversation. And I truly believe if people will just explore, just be playful and explore, see what feeds your soul, is then they will get to have I don't want to call it a better life, but a
Mhm.
life that it makes more sense to them because they get to
Yes.
see it from a different perspective, and even from a higher perspective, because there's so many perspectives that you can have of the same thing, but a higher perspective of all of that. I think it can bring peace into your life. Do not fight things all the time, but come to that place of acceptance and togetherness and just be at peace.
Just be at peace. I love that. And that it all brings all of these valuable lessons that we have. And the universe teaches us so many lessons. And we're going to be talking about some of those next week. If you want to tune in to us as well as we talk about cause and effect. But those, I don't want to jump in that too much, but we we just have to really practice and be mindful, whether it's meditation, whether it's reading the scriptures, whatever it is for you that makes you connect with other human beings. I think that's important for you to focus on. Do you have any final thoughts as we're talking about oneness before we move into just kind of wrapping things up?
But yeah, final thing, it would be like, in that discovery of your path or your spiritual path, if you can find that place of connection with the, because for me, the holistic connecting with the energy and everything, that everything has energy, that you have energy, that the plants have energy, starting to connect with that idea that there's an energy that it's in you, it surrounds you and it's everywhere. If you start connecting, like become mindful that everything has energy and that energy you are connected to, and it can be a good start of any practice, just to realize, oh, there is something else. How do I keep in touch? How do I evolve it? How do I become more aware of it? So then you start choosing a practice,
Right. And it's a matter of choosing the practice that works best for you. And if you like what you heard today, Mariela is going to be back with us next week as well. And so I wanted to just kind of close up with a prayer. If we can just breathe in the presence right now and either lower your gaze or bow your head. And dear Mother, Father God, and Universal Spirit, we thank you. We thank you for being enlightening us on this journey. We thank you for what we've heard about not only expressing our uniqueness, but coming together as one under the universe and feeling your divine spirit and your divine energy. We thank you for everything you do for us. And as we continue on this quest, I ask that you go and find compassion with yourself and with someone else as you connect to the greater universe. And so it is. Amen. Now, I would like to say that if you have heard anything that you have found to be beneficial in this conversation today, please feel free to go to Unity, COML.org. That's Unity, COML.org, and donate today so we can continue this ministry. Thank you so much for being with us today, and we'll see you next week. Thank you so much, Mariela.
Unity COML, Unity Comunidad de Luz, Community of Light. It's a ministry of love, big commitment to help everyone who's ready explore principles of truth that can really bring healing, prosperity, and all the good that God always has in store for each one of us. If you feel truly in your heart that we are serving you, and that you feel that you are expanding in every way and would love to give back and make sure that others are benefited just as well, we highly encourage you to donate. Do a love offering based on the love, appreciation, gratitude, and joy that you are receiving from the source to transform your life. Visit us at unitycoml.org and do what is yours to do from that place that knows that there is abundance for all.
As I always say, asking is giving, and that's how we support our ministry, your needs, our help, and everything goes together.
Divine love through you, through us, blesses and multiplies all that we are, all that we have, all that we give, and all that we receive. And so it is.
So it is.
Amen.